Network, the world's conscious broadcasting network. Live on iTunes and archived on iHeartRadio. The voice of consciousness. And now, join Shay Parker's Best of the Best, offering celebrity guests, lively discussions, hot topics, free psychic readings, and expert guest hosts. Simply the best in spiritual and metaphysical talk radio. Listen live on your phone or device using our universal mobile player. No app needed. Shay Parker's Best of the Best. Find out more at bestamericanpsychics.com.
Hey everybody, and welcome to tonight's show. This is your host, Shay Parker, right here on Best of the Best. Today is March 29th, right after Easter. For all of those that have celebrated it out there, I want to wish everybody, or I hope everybody had a very happy Easter. I certainly did. I got to spend a little time camping, so that was fun. And speaking of fun, I want to go ahead and bring on our guest tonight. I'm actually really, really excited about this show. Excuse me. We've had it planned for a while now, and what I'm excited about is this particular person is actually one of the gold members on our site, bestamericanpsychics.com. So she is one of our spotlight psychics. She has been seen on WBZ News and television, and television show Sixth Sense and Beyond. She is, of course, tested as one of our members on Best Psych. I'm not even getting the name of the directory correct. bestamericanpsychics.com is where we are. She's also been chosen as one of the top psychics in Boston by Jack Rourke, which is who is one of the most prominent professional psychics in the United States. So without further ado, I want to go ahead and bring her on, and then we'll get into more of her credentials. But everybody give a warm welcome, at least virtually, to award-winning international psychic medium Debra Livingston. Debs, welcome to the show.
Hi, Shay. Thanks for having me. Can you hear me okay?
I sure can. Can. Thank you so much for joining us tonight. I know we've got a lot to cover in this hour, so I'm just going to jump right into it. Folks, as I was saying, Debra is a world-renowned psychic medium, and for those of you who might just be tuning into the show or may not even really have that much experience with psychics or psychic work or mediumship, Debs, can you explain to the folks out there the differences between what a psychic is and what a psychic medium is?
Okay, that's a good question, Shay. I get asked a lot, actually just yesterday with a yogi in yoga class. Basically, everything's all energy. Your energy, I'm energy, spirit is energy. So when tuning in as a psychic, you're tuning in to the energy of the sitter, the client. And basically what I tell a client is we don't have crystal balls. We just don't have crystal balls because there's free will. But what you do is, my energy would say you're the client. I would tune in with your energy. I could be telling you where you're at on your spiritual path, things that may be going on with you at the moment, how some outcomes may or may not pan out, maybe even specific dates. But it's just a matter of my energy tuning in with your energy. Now, there's a saying, every medium is psychic, but not every psychic is a medium. And the reason for that is because it's an availability. Anybody has the tools, you're born in natural state tools of tuning in to energy. Basically, not all psychics are a medium because you're tuning into a separate energy. So when a medium is tuning into the spirit world, it's an energy that we're all eternal spirits. So when we're here, we're in human form, and it's an energy here. But the mediumistic part is my energy tuning in with the energy of a spirit or spirits from the spirit world.
Exactly. Yeah. So like departed loved ones versus your spirit guides, essentially.
Absolutely.
Yes. Yes. Yeah. And that's always the way I like to explain it as well. Because sometimes, people that aren't necessarily in this world every day, I mean, a lot of people are like, oh, I'm going to a psychic, but they don't really understand that there is, in fact, a differentiation between a psychic reading and a mediumship reading, which is pretty important, because it's kind of like saying I'm going to a dermatologist or I'm going to a eye doctor. I mean, they both may be doctors, but they do things a little differently. So, they focus on different areas. So, but, folks out there listening, Debs is actually, and I'm calling her Debs because, I mean, her full name is, of course, Debra Livingston, but, we're buds now, so we're not, we're going to go with Debs tonight. But folks, if you're out there curious and you're just tuning in, I'm going to give a shout out to her website right now. It's deblivmedium.com. That's DEBLIV as in Victor, medium.com, because Debs actually is a phenomenal psychic medium, and we're going to talk a little bit more about, the journey of a psychic medium, because I know that your journey has been, over 20 years of professional training and really delving into your gift in a sort of a voracious capacity, more so than many people out there do, with the depth of your training. And after the break, I want to talk a little bit more about your training, because I think it is so critically important to accentuate our gifts in the most professional ways possible. And Debs, that I talk about this all the time, and I know you're along the same lines as I am, as far as, you just simply can't learn enough to put your best foot forward. So we'll get into that a little bit more, but we've got about 5 minutes until our first break, so I don't want to delve into it quite yet. But what I do want to do is kind of get your background as to how this came to be for you. What was your journey that led you into doing this professionally?
Good question. I'm sitting here with a smile on my face, because every time somebody asks me this, it's the same little story I like to tell. I was a daddy's girl when I was real young, and he took me everywhere, and he was in a band, and he didn't ride a motorcycle, but all his friends did. And, they'd be in the garage doing their band stuff, and there was always this little orange kitty, like Garfield. And I'm following the kitty around, and I'm telling you, this cat was talking to me. And I thought that was normal. I mean, I was 4 years old. And, I got a little older, and I'm positive trees, don't laugh at me, trees, nature talked to me as well. And I got into school. I just thought this was normal. You're raised a certain way, and you're exposed to certain things, and you think it's normal. So, rude awakening when I got to school and was made fun of.
Yeah. And now, I'm going to interrupt you. Was the cat, was it in this physical incarnation, or?
Oh, yes.
Oh, okay. Yeah. Okay. So it was alive and well. Yeah.
Oh,
okay.
yeah. Alive and well. I mean, I have a house full of animals right now.
Right. Oh, I know.
They all talk. They all have personalities. But I held on to that. I always knew when something was going to happen. And my nan, who passed when I was a teenager, she's been coming to me ever since then. I decided that I wanted to go to architectural school. Now, when you're in your mind that much, the heart and the closeness to your own spirit is put on hold. So, got through college, got a job with the city of Boston, and always in my mind. So my mind pulled me away. I pulled myself away, because it's not necessarily the ability. It's the availability, making yourself available to the energy. And then in my mid to late 30s, it was knocking on my door. I couldn't resist it any longer.
Yeah, I guess the calling became so powerful at that point. You were just kind of like, okay, here we go.
Very powerful, yes.
Yeah,
all kinds of that. My whole life, even when I was in my mind in the architectural field, I always, and still do, Spirit gives me warning dreams, when something's about to happen, and it's spot on every time.
Yeah. Yeah. The prolific dreams are a fascinating phenomenon that I've done a lot of sort of research into that, the difference between a kind of a prophetic dream versus a regular, this is some crazy dream and I don't even know how I got here or what I'm doing here or what, so, but there are those dreams that are just so, you're like, okay, this one it means something, and I have weird experiences with dreams myself. It's like some of them I wake up and I just know for a fact that, okay, that there's a meaning there, because they're so powerful. So I think that's really neat. It's funny because I don't have a whole lot of psychics on here that I've interviewed that speak much about messages coming to them in dreams. It's often when in their conscious hours, not their subconscious hours. So that's really interesting that you get it that way as well. So
I get it in dreams, but I also get it, wide awake as well. The dream ones, they're pretty detailed and spot on.
Yeah, it's fascinating stuff. So, and we're going to get more into this type of discussion to all of our listeners this evening. But if you're just tuning in, my guest tonight is psychic medium Debra Livingston. She may be found at Deb, D-E-B, Liv, L-I-V as in Victor, medium.com. And when we get back from the break, we're going to delve into the world of professional training as a psychic with Deb. So stay tuned. It's a show you're not going to want to miss, and we'll be right back after the break.
This is OTR-FM, part of the IOM radio network.
Hi, this is Angela Levesque, host of Entanglement Radio. Join me Wednesdays at 12 p.m. Eastern for inspiring conversations with visionaries in spiritual science and conscious healing. Entanglement Radio, Wednesdays at 12 p.m. Eastern. Transcendent talk for the conscious mind.
Host your show on IOM FM, the radio network of OMTimes Media, one of the more recognized brand names in the conscious community, and is backed by the extensive marketing reach of OMTimes. Hosting a show on IOM FM immediately connects you with our extensive dedicated community. As difficult as it is to believe, there are places in Africa where human traffickers sell albino children and their body parts for use in magic rituals. Humanity Healing International is actively working in Uganda to change this paradigm. The Albino Rescue Project finds albino children who are at risk and places them in safe schools and environments where they can learn and grow free from fear. To learn more or to sponsor a child, visit humanityhealing.org. Humanity Healing is where your heart is.
Do you have time to read that inspiring book or that blog post you've been meaning to get to? In your busy world, how do you improve yourself and keep your life going? I'm Lisa Kay, and my Between Heaven and Earth radio show can transform your life just by listening. Be uplifted with inspiring topics, positive stories, and ideas that really work. Between Heaven and Earth radio is conscious living for your soul, every Wednesday at 4 p.m. Eastern Time.
This is OTR-FM, part of the IOM radio network.
Hey, everybody, and welcome back to tonight's show. This is your host, Shay Parker, best of the best. I want to thank everybody for joining us this evening. My guest tonight is Debra Livingston. She is an international psychic medium. She is also the winner of our fabulous Feedback Award for 2016 on bestamericanpsychics.com. And Deborah has a very informative website that you can go visit. It's Deb, D-E-B, Liv, L-I-V as in Victor, medium.com. On there you can visit her store. You can figure out how to book a reading, the different types of readings that she offers, the different sessions, how to prepare for a session, all sorts of great stuff on there that you can check out and, definitely connect with Deb. And I would say do so as soon as possible because I know she is a very busy lady. So, speaking of busy, Debs, tell us about we're going to hop into your training and the importance of training and ethical guidelines in just a minute here. But I know you've got some really cool events coming up that I really want to get out there to folks and some benefits and fundraisers. So can you tell our listeners what you've got going on?
I absolutely can. I have an event coming up that is for a fundraiser for autism, and it's a fairly large gallery, over 200 people. Actually, my colleague Catherine Glass is doing it with me, and it was scheduled for this next Saturday, April 2nd, but the venue has been changed, and therefore the date will be different. So as soon as that has been determined, it will be posted on my website and also the Facebook page. But it's for a wonderful cause, and I'm all for raising money for good causes.
Yeah.
And then the next event that's upcoming is going to Fayetteville, Arkansas, to the Northwest Arkansas Center for Spiritual Living, and there'll be a few events over a long weekend there. And that is going to be, let's see, is it April, I think, 16th? Yes, April 16th, 17th, and 18th. So there'll be a gallery, private readings, a workshop, and I will be running the service at their church.
Oh, wow. Well, that sounds like that'll be a great event. So
that'll be great. And then there'll be stuff coming up in May and other things in the works for Canada coming up. So people can keep checking the events page on my website.
On the website. Okay, great. Yeah, good deal. Well, you're the globetrotter all over the place. Good stuff. Well, I'd like to take a moment just to read a couple of blurbs from some of your testimonials, because I can't emphasize enough to our listeners out there what a difference you've made in people's lives. You know, when you do these readings and you're able to connect to departed loved ones, it makes, it's such a critical and important gift that you have, and you're so very, very good at it. And I just want to read a couple of blurbs, and literally it's a couple, folks, because Debs has so many positive testimonials that it's actually mind blowing. So I'm just going to give you a couple of blurbs here. We've got Lois on your website says, "This was not our first reading. We were amazed at the evidence she presented. She was so easy to sit with, and we felt right. She is warm and guided us through everything." Another one, Christine, says, "I was skeptical about her ability to connect, but I was flabbergasted by her accuracy." And, it goes on and on to explain what details that you were able to bring through. She described my daughter perfectly. Another one here, Lauren Chapman, "I had an amazing session. I was very skeptical. Deb brought through my loved one. No doubt she has a gift. Let's see, this session was very healing for me." We've got another here that says, it literally gave the details that you brought through and said that there was no way you could have possibly known private jokes between people when they were living, inside jokes. So, all these things are what we like to refer to in the industry as evidential information to anybody that out there that is listening and may or may not have ever had a reading before. Folks, if you have had a reading and you have had more of a generalized reading out there by someone, what you really want to look for is evidential information. And by that, I mean something that only you would know, and there's no way that your reader would know. And that's one thing that I know you, Debs, are very, very, very passionate about, is not knowing any information.
Yeah, that's a big policy on my website. And yeah.
Can you explain that a little bit more to people, why that's so critical for you?
It's critical because there'd be no way that the sitter could validate information. I mean, obviously the family member or members coming through at the same time would give me information. There's lifetimes of information you can get, but it's when I get an email from somebody giving me the entire life story of their lost loved one.
Right.
And I've declined readings before because of it, because, it's just, you can't, I don't want to know anything.
It's too much. Yeah, exactly.
Too much.
Exactly. It's kind of like watching the movie and then having someone tell you about the movie. It's
ruined it.
Yeah, exactly. So, yeah, but this all goes back to ethics too, which of course goes back to training. So tell me why. I mean, you are obviously a very gifted psychic medium. So why is it so important to you to continue your training, like at Arthur Findlay in Stansted, England, and stuff like that? What is the driving force behind that for you?
Well, as I'm sitting here listening to the question, the first thing that comes to my mind is we're all spirits. We're all eternal spirits. You, me, loved ones in the spirit world. But when we're here on Earth, we're human and we have limitations. So once we have experienced something, and we want to pass these things along, and it's very important to continue to learn or be guided into tools, if you will, that help you get a little closer to not only your own spirit, which enables you to get closer to the spirit world, but to also have the trust from spirit, because the closer you get, the more available. It's not about your ability, it's about your availability. And the more available you make yourself to the spirit world, then the closer they can come. And it's like having a conversation with them. And when you're blending your energy with their energy, you want to tell a story. You don't want to say, oh, I've got your grandfather here, he's wearing a red and black checkered shirt. Who cares? Who cares what he wears? You want to have a story. You want to give the essence of the personality. What happened on one Christmas night when he spilled his beer or something, something like that.
Yeah, what's the message? Yeah.
It's very, very important to continue to learn different tools of being able to get the information. Mm-hmm. And when you have so many different tutors, you take what works for you and leave the rest at the door. And then when you've had all this training, you're able to develop your own style, so to speak. Mm-hmm. You'll see when you see seasoned mediums work, you'll see them each work a little differently because they have a different way of staying in the energy.
Yeah.
You can definitely see what's authentic and what's not.
Oh yeah, absolutely. So what for you? I know that, gosh, what have you been going to Arthur Findlay now for 20 years or something? I mean, it's been a long time.
I haven't been going to Arthur Findlay for 20 years. I'm coming up on my 8th or 9th.
That's a crazy amount of time.
Because 1 week at the Arthur Findlay College is about a whole year.
Yeah, it feels like 20 years.
It does. And I give my best readings for 6 months when I come back from there. But I did a lot of training here first, and it was actually John Holland that turned me on to the Arthur Findlay College.
That's right. Yeah, I knew you have had so much training, it's hard to keep track of. For me anyway. But yeah, John Holland's great too. So
yeah, he's a good teacher.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm.
He's definitely a good teacher, and you can tell, he enjoys it. Yeah. But I feel at home. I think I've lived there it's like going to Hogwarts.
Yeah.
I just feel at home there, and the tutors, they're the best mediums in the world, that they would blow your socks off.
Yeah. I know. I've heard that they are just absolutely phenomenal. And I want to talk when we come back from break. We've got about, a minute and a half or something until we have to go to break. But when we come back, I want to talk a little bit more about the differences in, obviously, the United States is still a very young country comparatively. So I want to get your opinion, your professional opinion on the differences between the teachings for being a professional psychic, in the UK versus the United States, and see, what the different levels of depth are there. Because I think that, there are a lot of mediums here that perhaps are seeking training, but they don't really know where to go or who to turn to. Or, we get the question all the time through Best American Psychics. Well, where do I go get trained? Like, I'm a young budding psychic. What do I do now? So I'd like to talk about that a little bit when we get back from break. We've got to hit it here in about 30 seconds or so. But I just think it's a fascinating topic because, like you say, there are so many different mentors and tutors over there. And I know that the learning style is very different. I've heard that a lot from
very strict.
Yeah, from folks.
Very strict.
So we'll get kind of a day in the life, so to speak, of the training that you have gone through, and I think that may help our listeners understand a little bit more. About what it is really to walk in your shoes and do the work that you do, because it really is such critical work. And I think it, really helps so many people. So when we get back from break, folks, we will return with my guest tonight, Debra Livingston. She may be found at deblivmedium.com. So go check out her website during the break. We'll be right back. This is Shay Parker, Best of the Best. Stay tuned.
This is OTR-FM, part of the IOM radio network.
Circle of Hearts Radio is a sanctuary on the airwaves. Join me, Grandmother Elia, in the circle on Sunday, 2 p.m. Eastern, as I share information to both enlighten and nourish your soul.
Being a radio host on IOM FM allows you to build your show on a rich platform with the power of the internet to fulfill your outreach goals and connect with a very specialized and global online audience, unlimited by time and distance. OMTimes Radio will provide you with web relevance, a recognizable conscious brand, and with the standard of excellence that has accompanied every single OMTimes endeavor. Host your show with OMTimes Radio Network. Are you trying to get from point A to point B and need a little advice? Connect with the counselors at OMTimes Advisors. Whether you're looking for a life coach or a spiritual intuitive, the advisors participating at advisors.omtimes.com were carefully chosen based on their gifts, skills, and professionalism. OMTimes Advisors, connecting you with the best advisors in the business.
This is Terry Van Horn, and I want to invite you to join me for my weekly radio show, Healing Light, on OMTimes Radio, every Wednesday at 6 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. On Healing Light, we want to bring love, light, and blessings into your world. You can find out more about us at www.healinglightonline.com. Blessings.
You're listening to OTR-FM, part of the IOM radio network.
Hey folks, welcome back. This is Shay Parker, Best of the Best. You are listening tonight to Debra Livingston. She is my special guest. She is an international psychic medium, also an award-winning psychic. She has been featured on several different television shows. She's a member of the Certified Psychic Society, also the Spiritualist National Union. She's been nominated as our Psychic of the Month as well on Best American Psychics, and she is our Fabulous Feedback Award winner for 2016. So we've been talking about a lot of stuff tonight. Before the break, we were talking a little bit about training and the importance of, studying with different mentors. And I know we were on the topic, Debs, of Arthur Findlay and the different mentors that are over there in Stansted, England. So can you give us a general idea of kind of like a day in the life of what it's like over there studying under these just phenomenal, literally world-renowned mediums that train, probably hundreds throughout the years?
Yeah, it's pretty crazily awesome, actually. If I didn't see it from my own eyes, I probably wouldn't have believed it. Although I've seen different things. There's physical phenomena there too.
Oh, really? Huh.
Oh, yeah. It would curl your hair if you saw what I saw 2 years ago. But to get back to the tutors, it's a long day. You eat, breathe, speak, walk, talk, spiritualism, mediumship, philosophy. And it's great because you have a course organizer, the main tutor, and then you're broken down into groups, which I don't like to categorize. Neither do they, because if they even sense ego, you get thrown out.
Oh, wow.
But they have beginners, never done before, intermediate, and advanced, and then there's sub-tutors under that. So you get about 4 or 5 tutors rotating. You've got your groups, and then you've got rotating sessions where they'll teach you some tools of the trade. There's a lot of meditation. There's a lot of fun. There's a lot of laughing. Because you gotta have laughter if you're gonna do this. If you can't laugh, you're in the wrong place. But it's about a year's worth of spiritualism crammed into 1 week, 12-hour days.
So it's like boot camp, basically.
It's boot camp, baby.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and you're throwing it right down. Oh, wow. It sounds hard, but it sounds really cool, too.
It is really cool. Yeah. By Wednesday, they call it Weeping Wednesday. Everybody's walking around wiping tears on Wednesday.
Yeah, I bet. Gosh.
Food's great, though. Food's great.
Ah, well, that's always a good thing. You have to re-energize, huh? So
absolutely.
So tell me this, as a psychic medium, obviously, you've probably done hundreds of readings throughout your life and you have literally helped people all across the globe. So what would you say your greatest challenge is as a professional psychic medium?
My greatest challenge. That's a good question.
Have I stumped the psychic?
If you ask
I bet you didn't know I was going to ask that.
No, if you asked me this about 5 years ago, I would have said my greatest challenge is
skeptics.
Fear. No, fear. And when I say fear, the fear is
not
a failure.
Yeah.
But what it comes down to is fear is part of ego. So you must put yourself out of the way because it's not about you. It's about the three-way conversation, the three-way sacred conversation that you're having. And if you would ask me now, believe it or not, as a human, sometimes I think I need my head examined. Sometimes I'm still skeptical about what I do. And then if I have a mind-blowing reading, it's like coming down back on the earth. I'm like, wow, why was I skeptical? Why am I skeptical? I don't know, because I'm human, I guess.
Well,
so, as a human spirit with limitations, sometimes you wonder, where is this coming from?
Mm-hmm.
But when you're in the midst of giving a reading and you're feeling the energy and you're hearing things, seeing things, feeling things, just knowing things, the skepticism goes away.
Right.
The trust has to be there. You have to have trust.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. And that makes sense because, I mean, listen, we all have our days where we're like, oh gosh, I just don't know, you know, should I be doing this? Is this the right? But yeah, I find it, it's interesting to me that you do still get those every once in a while. But then again, I mean, in your defense, some of the readings that I've heard come through, like some of the stuff that Spirit brings through sounds so crazy. It's like you would never even think to say something like that. And you have to question yourself, like, should I really say this? Should I, you know, I mean, because some of the stuff is just nutty that they bring through from the other side. And you must feel very, you know, I mean, I could see how you would question that sometimes, you know, like.
Well, that's the thing.
Yeah. Yeah.
You don't question it. You don't question it. And I probably shouldn't have said I'm skeptic because that probably doesn't sound too good. But I am a medium, and the biggest lesson learned is never, ever, ever question or dismiss the evidence as it's coming through. Give it, because you have to never dismiss. You have to respect what you're getting and don't analyze it. Just give it.
Mm-hmm.
Tell a story with what you're getting.
Mm-hmm.
Because it always means something.
Yeah. And it does. And that's the thing. And I know what you meant when you said skeptical. I don't think that you meant you were skeptical of the messages that you're getting, but you're skeptical of yourself, basically. You know, like, in other words, can I really, you know, I mean, we all have that as like you said, humans. It's more of a personal thing than your doubting spirit or whatever, you know, the case may be. So, but, you know, you said something earlier that I thought was actually really profound. You said it's not about what did you say? It's not about your ability. It's about the ability to connect or something like that.
It's not about ability.
Right.
It's about the availability.
Yes, availability. That's what it was. It's not about ability. It's about availability. And that, I mean, that is such a profound statement because as an outsider looking in, someone who doesn't, you know, connect to people that have passed over or whatever, your first kind of natural thought, I think, is to go to, is my medium able to connect? Are they able to talk to spirit? And it's like you said, there are so many out there that are able to do it. But if they're saying, oh, your grandfather has a checked shirt on, it's exactly what you said. That doesn't really matter. I mean, unless it may matter if, like, for instance, that shirt you gave them as a Christmas present or a birthday present or something like that.
Well,
but just
say that though. Yeah,
exactly. You have to deliver the message in full. And, you know, we, on Best American Psychics, we test obviously a lot of different psychics. And oftentimes we will get people with psychic ability who clearly are speaking to someone on the other side or are speaking to spirit, but they can't take it the step further that you're speaking of. They can't deliver the message. They can simply say, okay, I have a Charlie here. And you're like, okay. And, you know, in other words, why is Charlie here? What does Charlie want to do? What does Charlie want to say? You know, what is the message that Charlie has to bring? And that's where I think so many haven't quite taken that next leap to the next lily pad because it's like they're getting something. They're hearing something, but they don't quite know what to do with it. And that's where you find the truly, you know, more trained, I should say, psychics, because you know, I really, really liked what you said about the availability, because you're available to get all that information from them. And you know, you're there to hear it and you're there to share it. So,
well, you know, it's like a muscle.
Mm-hmm.
The more you work it, the more you go to the gym and work it, the stronger it gets.
Yeah.
The more you practice, the better it gets.
Yeah, definitely. It's
Spirit has to trust you too. It's not about you just trusting them. About a year ago, I stopped getting one loved one coming through at a time. I get a group of them come through now for a sitter.
Oh, geez.
About the most I've bounced between is 5. I can't do any more than that. It kills me.
Well, yeah, that would be awfully confusing. I mean, it's hard enough in person.
If you got like this loud Italian family and they're all talking at each other at once, I have to say, "Come on, calm down, simmer down now, people."
That would be mine. And then you would have the pack of Chihuahuas barking in the background if it was my family. That the Italian. Rah, rah, rah. It's like, oh my God.
You hot bath and a cigarette, and I don't even smoke.
Yeah. You need a bourbon and a cigarette. Oh my gosh, that's hilarious. Yeah, I know. It's pretty wild what mediums have to go through. It really amazes me, some of the messages that come through, and the humor that is still carried on by the people that have passed over. They're very still engaging with being kind of whimsical and joking and I love to see a really good medium in a crowd, like a gallery type of event, because it's actually really funny. Like some of the stuff that can come through, it's pretty amusing. So,
I've had plenty, believe me. I'm sitting here thinking of one in particular, and I don't know how or why, but they come through. And if they're funny, their personality is going to come shining right through.
Yeah.
If they're a quiet person, you're going to struggle to get information from them. But they'll give you enough so the sitter knows, or the recipient knows who it is.
Who it is, yeah. I know. Well, it's just like being here. It's really, really a cool thing for people to be able to realize that we truly do keep our soul and our personality and our whimsy or our seriousness or our factoid brain or our, it's really, it never ceases to amaze me. So mediumship.
It's also very important to mention as well, though.
Yeah. What
is also wonderful about that is when they point something out that's happening now.
Yeah. Yeah. Oh, yeah. Current information. Well, we're going to come back from break, folk, and we're going to pick this conversation up where we left off. This is Shay Parker, Best of the Best. I'm on with Debra Livingston, Psychic Medium. Stay tuned.
You're listening to OTR-FM, part of the IOM Radio Network.
Hello, I'm Miriam Knight of New Consciousness Review, inviting you to my new show where I interview the rising stars of the conscious awakening. We'll explore the many faces of consciousness in action and intriguing perspectives on life, the universe, and everything in between. Join us each Wednesday at 2 p.m. Eastern on the Rising Stars Show.
Being a radio host on IOM FM allows you to build your show on a rich platform with the power of the Internet to fulfill your outreach goals and connect with a very specialized and global online audience, unlimited by time and distance. OMTimes Radio will provide you with web relevance, a recognizable conscious brand, and with the standard of excellence that has accompanied every single OMTimes endeavor. Host your show with OMTimes Radio Network. The number one reason girls drop out of school in sub-Saharan Africa is lack of access to feminine hygiene products. The Pads for Schoolgirls Project, an outreach of Humanity Healing International, is changing this paradigm by setting up sewing programs at schools, teaching girls a vocational skill, while producing the reusable pads that help keep them attending classes. The girls pay it forward by making and giving pad kits to other girls in need. To learn more, visit humanityhealing.org. Humanity Healing is where your heart is.
My name is Victor Furman. Some call me The Voice. I've always been fascinated with human nature, spirituality, science, and the crossroads at which they meet. Join me Wednesdays at 8 p.m. Eastern on OMTimes Radio, and we'll explore these topics and so much more on Destination Unlimited.
You're listening to OTR FM, part of the IOM Radio Network.
And I want to thank everybody who has been with us tonight. If you're just tuning in, I have with me intuitive medium, well, actually psychic medium, Debra Livingston, and she may be found at Deb, D-E-B, Liv, L-I-V, as in Victor, medium.com. You can check out her website there. She offers several different types of readings. And before the break, we were talking a little bit about, well, a lot actually, about mediumship and the different ways of connecting and how people keep their personalities even after they've crossed over, and they're able to provide evidential information to the medium, and then the medium is of course able to provide it to the sitter or the person getting the reading. So Deb, I want to kind of go back to a little bit about what we talked about as far as, you know, evidential information and, of course, ethics and stuff like that. And I know you're big on that, huge on that, as a matter of fact. So talk to me or talk to our listeners tonight about what people, if they were going to call you, for instance, for a reading, what would be a typical, preparation, or what, walk us through a typical reading with you. I mean, obviously don't do a reading, but, just what could a person expect?
Okay. Well, whether it be in person, Skype, or phone, I always give a little rundown of how I work, because a lot of people are used to going to, I live near Salem, Massachusetts, so mediums or psychics rather are like a dime a dozen.
Oh yeah, big time.
So, I'm not snobby or anything, but I don't align myself with that because it's a different caliber, if you will, of readings. And I'm just really picky. I can't help it. Yeah. I'm really picky because I don't, when I first started doing this, I didn't even want to charge, because how can you charge to give people information from their loved ones? But then, my tutors said, you're not charging for that, you're charging for your time. So, right. People come because they want closure, they want peace, they want love, they want guidance. And I tell them how I work. I say, I want yes or no answers. If somebody wants to elaborate on any one idea, I won't stop them unless they're giving me too much information. And so, straight while I'm explaining to them how I work, I'll tell them that spirit works with me based on my life experiences. I might smell something, I might see something, I might hear something, or I'll see a scene like a movie or a picture, or they'll tell me a month. It could be anything. So if I pause, it's because I'm getting the information. And there is a little bit of mental work, because you have to receive it, process it, and deliver it. And it's pretty quick. You have to do it pretty quick, because it is like telling a story. You don't want to keep pausing, because people get excited. And you just want to tell a story. The person will come through, and you just want to, sometimes I become them, and I say, I feel like I want to do this. I mean, it's really cool. I have to say, I really enjoy it. I don't know if that answers your question.
No, it does. It does. I was actually just pondering what you were saying. So, okay, obviously you're able to take on you hear the smells. Now, do you also feel the illnesses at times?
I have to pay attention to my body language too, because I'm very in tune with myself now and pay very close attention to what I'm doing. If I find myself doing a mannerism that I don't do, I say, well, I know they do this because they're making me do it. The other day, I don't actually recall it, but I had. It said I'm very much drawn to the right side of my head, so I know when I passed, I had to have hit the right side of my head, and then they'll say yes, that's correct.
Ah, okay.
Yeah, I do not touch medical intuitive stuff.
Yeah.
I won't near it.
Right.
It's just the way I've been seasoned and trained. It's because in England you can get sued at the drop of a hat.
Oh yeah, sure.
There's so many laws there that we don't have here, but you still have to be careful.
Yeah. Now, so back to that, we did discuss a little bit the differences between, kind of like the hardcore boot camp that you have to go through over there at like Arthur Findlay and Stansted, England. So the differences between your United States training and your training over there, what would you say like the major difference is?
The major difference is retrieving evidence as opposed to vaguedence.
Okay. Gotcha.
That was me, wasn't it?
No, it's not. I don't even think it's a conscious. I just think that the people, because the United States is a much younger, country. I just think, things over here, at least in the early formative years, were far more taboo than they are. Perhaps over in England, like there's much more. I mean, like you said, they've got Hogwarts over there. They've got it's theoretically, of course, but it's steeped in that over there. So it's much more. There's much more history there.
There is. There is, because it really took off. I mean, it actually started here in New York, Hydesville.
Mm-hmm. Oh, okay.
Yeah,
very cool.
Called the Wrappings.
Yeah, I did not know that. See, I just learned something.
It started in New York, but it really took off there. And it evolves just like everything in life. Mediumship evolves. It's not nearly as good as it was. Physical phenomena and trance and all that. It's hard to find those kinds of mediums now.
It is.
For that reason alone, you want to go and you want to be with the people that were trained by the best. My tutors, most of them were trained under Gordon Higginson, who's pioneer.
Right. So what advice would you give to a young, 20-something budding psychic who's having these, visions or communication or abilities and they really don't know what their next step is? What would you tell them?
I would tell them that they shouldn't try and connect to spirit until they sit with their own for about 2 years.
Mm-hmm.
The more you sit, when I mean sit with your eyes closed and meditate and learn, feel your own energy. The closer you get to your own spirit, the closer you'll get to the spirit world.
So clarify that for me. Do you mean like your own spirit guides or just your own soul?
That would be second, actually.
Okay.
I mean your own spirit. And the more you meditate, you should be able to feel the shift of the energy around you. You build your own power. It's about building your power within and being aware of it. It's all about awareness. Let me give you an example. Now, say you go to a restaurant and you're talking to somebody, and out of the corner of your eye, you can see somebody kind of like starting a fight or something. That's just a tiny example. Like I can go to a restaurant and have a conversation, and I can tell you what's going on in every corner of the restaurant just because it's an awareness.
Right.
So the more aware you become of your own spirit, the closer you get to it. And a lot of times, too, it has to do with, I shouldn't say this, but a lot of best mediums have had what's called adversity. Adversity that brings you back into, I don't want to say transformation, but it could be that.
Mm-hmm.
But it's also mediums, the young ones who aren't conditioned and not losing it at all. They just need a little bit of guidance on where to go to next.
Yeah, definitely. But I really love what you said about sit with yourself first, because there's so many of us that aren't even in tune with ourselves, and I mean, we're all guilty of it. I certainly do it. I get so caught up in, I've got to do this, I've got to do that, and I'm running, trying to put out all these fires, and it's kind of like, hello, I've got to recenter and reconnect with me, and that's something that you really have to make a conscious effort to do. Well, at least I do. I mean, speaking for me, because I am pulled in so many different directions all the time that sometimes I forget that, hey, it's 6:00 at night and you haven't eaten one thing today. Or, you know what I mean? It's kind of like, refocus. So,
yeah, it's not very grounding to not eat.
I know. It's crazy, right? Gosh. Speaking of grounding, we're about to be grounded here because this show's about to end. So let me tell everybody who we're talking to. Folks, tonight my guest has been Debra Livingston. She can be found at deblivmedium.com. That's DEBLIV medium.com. And she is a global psychic medium. And folks, she absolutely is one of the best, which is why she's a spotlight psychic on bestamericanpsychics.com. So I cannot recommend her highly enough. And Debs, I just want to say thank you for joining us tonight. It's been fabulous.
Thank you for having me. Great time.
Yeah, absolutely. So folks, check her out. You will not regret it. Go book a reading right now, because I'm telling you, you will absolutely be blown away, and you can add to those many testimonials on Deb's website. Take good care, folks. We'll see you next week.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.
Thank you for joining us for Shay Parker's Best of the Best. Be sure to tune in next week for more lively discussion topics. Have a great week, and don't forget to check out bestamericanpsychics.com in case you need some professional, ethical, and accurate psychic advice from the nation's best psychics. Until next week, take care of yourselves and